What if I told you that a single secret, one hidden truth, could unravel everything you've ever dreamed of? Imagine building a life, a future, a love so deep it felt unbreakable, only to watch it all come crashing down in the blink of an eye. Love, trust, friendship shattered in an instant. This is the story of a woman whose deepest desires became her greatest curse. A woman who carried a secret so dangerous, it turned her happiest day into her worst nightmare. But here's the real question. Was she truly to blame? Or was she simply a victim of something far beyond her control? And what about those closest to her? Were they friends or wolves in disguise, waiting for the perfect moment to strike? Stay with me, because this is not just another story. It's a chilling lesson in love, betrayal, and the devastating power of envy. And by the end, you'll be left questioning everything you thought you knew about trust, loyalty, and the weight of secrets. In the quiet, sun-drenched town of Yumo, nestled between rolling green hills and winding rivers, there lived a young woman named Oma. She was the kind of beauty that poets wrote about, the kind that made men lose their words and women whisper in admiration or envy. Her skin seemed to glow in the sunlight. Her smile was as warm as the first morning rays, and her kind eyes held a depth that could soften even the hardest of hearts. It was no surprise that men from every corner of the land sought her hand in marriage. Wealthy merchants, noblemen, even travelers who had only heard of her beauty would come, hoping to claim her as their own. Yet despite the endless suitors, despite the promises of riches and devotion, Oma refused every single one. Why? Why would a woman so admired, so adored, turn away from love at every opportunity? Why did she smile politely, lower her gaze, and shake her head time and time again? The truth was something no one could have imagined. Oma carried a secret one so heavy, so consuming, that it shaped every decision she made. A secret she dared not share with anyone except her two closest friends, USO and Joseph. A secret that burned inside her, both figuratively and quite literally. But secrets have a way of demanding to be revealed. And Oma's secret? It was a fire that could not be contained forever. Since the tender age of 15, Oma had felt something stir within her, something wild, relentless, and impossible to silence. It was a fire, an unquenchable hunger that no man, not one, not 10, not even 100, could ever satisfy. It wasn't love. It wasn't mere attraction. It was a force that controlled her, a craving that consumed her every waking thought, an invisible chain that bound her desires she wished she could escape. No matter how hard she tried to resist, no matter how many times she promised herself she would change, she was always drawn back, drawn to men like a moth to an open flame. And with every indulgence, with every fleeting moment of pleasure, the weight of guilt grew heavier, pressing against her chest like an iron cage. And the worst part, she despised herself for it. She had tried to fight it. Oh, how she had tried. She prayed in the dead of night, whispering desperate pleas to the heavens above. She sought wisdom from elders, hoping for answers that never came. She visited healers and spiritual guides, begging for a cure, for something, anything, that could silence the relentless fire inside her. But no one had a solution. No one understood. So she lived in quiet agony. To the world, she was perfect, graceful, composed, a woman of virtue and dignity. But behind the illusion of a flawless life, she was crumbling, hiding a secret that no one could ever know. A secret that filled her with shame, that made her question if she would ever be worthy of real love. And then she met Chima. Chima was different. From the moment she laid eyes on him, something shifted inside her. He was not just another man, not just another temptation. He was kind, gentle, the type of man who carried a quiet strength, the kind that could hold even the most broken soul together. For the first time in her life, Oma felt something she had never known before. Not just attraction, but hope. Maybe, just maybe, Chima was the answer she had been waiting for. Maybe, just maybe, he could be the one to finally extinguish the fire within her. Chima was different. He wasn't like the others, the men who pursued Oma with empty promises and shallow affections. There was something about him, something unspoken yet powerful, that set him apart. He carried himself with quiet confidence, a kind of strength that didn't need to be loud to be felt. He was gentle, patient, and understanding in a way that made even the most shattered soul believe in love again. For the first time in her life, Oma felt something unfamiliar, something that both terrified and thrilled her. It wasn't just desire, not the fleeting hunger she had always known. It was deeper, softer, something that filled the hollow spaces within her. It was hope. Maybe, just maybe, Chima was the answer. Maybe he was a man who could silence the restless storm inside her. Maybe he could be the one to anchor her, to love her beyond her flaws, beyond the secrets that she had buried so deeply. And so, their love blossomed. Every moment spent with Chima felt like a glimpse of the life she had always longed for. A life where she wasn't trapped by her desires, where she didn't have to pretend, where she could finally be free. He made her laugh in a way no one ever had. He looked at her as if she were the only woman in the world. With him, she felt safe, she felt seen, she felt whole. Then, one evening beneath a sky painted in the golden hues of dusk, Chima knelt before her. His hands trembled slightly, his eyes filled with love so pure it stole her breath away. And in that moment, as he held out a ring and promised her forever, she believed. She believed in love. She believed in new beginnings. And she believed that, with Chima by her side, the fire inside her, the one that had tormented her for years, would finally be extinguished. With tears in her eyes and a trembling smile on her lips, she said yes. This was it, her second chance, her fresh start, a life without secrets. Or so she thought. Among Oma's friends, one did not celebrate her happiness. Joseph, to the world. Joseph had always been her closest confidant, the one who stood by her side through every storm, the one who knew her better than anyone else, the one she trusted. But beneath the surface, hidden behind a mask of friendship, was something far darker. Envy. It had crept into Joseph's heart over the years, slow and insidious, twisting his love for Oma into something unrecognizable. He had watched her reject suitors time and time again, refusing the kind of love others only dreamed of. And yet, when she finally chose someone, when she finally said yes, it wasn't to him, it was to Chima. How could Oma, a woman drowning in secrets, a woman who spent years living a lie, be rewarded with happiness? Why did she get to have everything, while he was left with nothing? Joseph told himself it wasn't fair, that Oma didn't deserve the love she had found, that she had taken something that should have been his. And so, on the day of the wedding, as the hall filled with laughter and celebration, as Oma stood at the altar, glowing with a happiness Joseph had never seen before, he made a choice that would change everything, a choice he could never take back. The hall was a vision of beauty, draped in silk, bathed in golden light, and filled with the scent of fresh roses. Every chair was occupied, every eye fixed on the couple standing at the altar. Friends, family, and well-wishers had gathered from near and far to witness what was supposed to be a perfect union. Oma stood beside Chima, her hands trembling slightly, though whether from excitement or nerves, she wasn't sure. This was it, the beginning of forever. She glanced at Chima, his eyes filled with warmth, with love, with the promise of future she had once thought impossible. And then, it happened. The lights flickered. A murmur rippled through the crowd. At first, it seemed like nothing, just a minor glitch, a brief disturbance. But then, the large screen behind them flickered to life, casting an eerie glow over the room. And suddenly, a video began to play. At first, it was unclear what they were watching. A dimly lit room, shifting shadows, the sound of hushed laughter. But then, as the picture became clearer, the truth struck with the force of a thunderclap. Oma with another man, then another, and another. Gasps filled the room. Whispers spread like wildfire, growing louder, more urgent, more vicious. Someone covered their mouth in shock. Another turned away, unable to watch. Chima stood frozen, his face draining of color as if life itself had been stripped from him. His hands, which had only moments ago been ready to slip a ring onto Oma's finger, now hung limply at his sides. His chest rose and fell in sharp, uneven breaths. Oma's heart pounded violently against her ribs. Her vision blurred. Her ears rang. No, this wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. Tears welled in her eyes as she turned to Chima, desperate, broken. I can explain, but he took a step back. The love, the trust, the future they had built together together are gone, torn apart in an instant, and in the crowd, hidden among the stunned faces, Joseph watched, and he smiled. Oma had lost everything. The love she had cherished, the future she had dreamed of, the respect she had once carried. It had all crumbled in a single moment. Shima had walked away without a word, without looking back. The people who had once admired her now whispered behind her back, their gazes laced with judgment and scorn. Everywhere she went, she felt their stares, their hushed conversations, their disapproving glances. Her name, once spoken with admiration, was now laced with scandal. The weight of her shame was unbearable, pressing down on her chest like an iron cage. For days, she locked herself away, drowning in self-loathing, in regret, in endless what-ifs. But then, something changed one morning. As she stared at her reflection, her tired eyes, her hollowed cheeks, the person she barely recognized made a decision. She refused to let her past define her. She refused to live in the shadows of shame any longer. For the first time, Oma sought real help, not just fleeting prayers or empty reassurances, but medical help. She found a doctor who listened, a doctor who understood, who didn't judge her, didn't condemn her, but instead helped her see the truth. She wasn't broken. She wasn't evil. She had a condition, one that could be managed, one that did not have control of her life. Slowly, through therapy, through treatment, through painful but necessary self-reflection, she began to heal. It wasn't easy. Healing never was. But every step forward, no matter how small, was a victory. Still, questions lingered in the corners of her mind. Would Chima ever understand? Would he ever see that her actions, though wrong, were not entirely her fault? Would he ever find it in his heart to forgive her? And Joseph, her once dearest friend, now the architect of her downfall. Did he regret it? Did he ever lose sleep over what he had done? Or did he still believe she deserved her fate? Time would reveal the answers. But for now, Oma focused on one thing, rebuilding herself piece by piece until she was whole again. Months passed. Seasons changed. The weight of the past still lingered. But Oma had grown stronger through the trials, the shame, and the loneliness. She had found herself again not as the woman defined by scandal, but as someone who had faced her demons and survived. Then, one morning, as she sat by her window, watching the world move on without her, a letter arrived. Her hands trembled as she reached for it, her heart pounding against her ribs. The handwriting on the envelope was unmistakable. Chima, she hesitated. Did she even have the strength to open it? Did she want to relive the pain? But curiosity and hope she had long buried urged her forward. With careful fingers, she unfolded the letter. Inside, Chima's words spilled onto the page, raw and honest. He admitted his pain, his anger, his disbelief at what had happened. But in the months apart, he had done his own soul searching. He had sought to understand, to piece together the truth beyond his initial heartbreak. And in that truth, he realized something profound about Oma's condition was not her fault. She wasn't a monster. She wasn't unworthy of love. She was human, flawed like everyone else. And more than anything, she was trying to be better, to heal, to move forward. And so, at the end of the letter, he offered her something she never thought she'd have again. Another chance. Tears welled in her eyes as she reread his words again and again, as if making sure they were real. Then, with shaky fingers, she dialed the number he had left at the bottom of the page. The phone rang. Once, twice, then hello? His voice, familiar, gentle, but different, softer, as though time had carved wisdom into it. The conversation that followed was long, emotional, healing. They spoke of everything, of their pain, their regrets, their hopes. And as the hours passed, so did the walls between them, crumbling like fragile glass, making way for something new. Their love rekindled. But this time it was different. This time there were no secrets, no illusions, only the truth. As for Joseph, he had watched from a distance as time unraveled the damage he had caused. At first, he justified his actions, convinced himself that he had done what was necessary. But as days turned to weeks and weeks to months, guilt crept in like an unrelenting shadow. He had destroyed someone who had once trusted him, all because of envy. Finally, he could take it no more. He saw sought Oma out, stood before her, and for the first time admitted everything. His jealousy, his spite, his selfish need to see her fall. And with tears in his eyes, he begged for forgiveness. Oma, having found her own peace, granted it. She had learned that forgiveness was not for the one who hurt you. It was for yourself. But forgiveness did not mean forgetting. Their friendship, once unbreakable, could never be the same. In the end, Oma and Chima did marry, but not because of secrecy or illusion, not because of a desperate attempt to fix what was broken. They married because love had survived, because understanding had replaced judgment, because they had chosen each other fully and completely, and together they fought for her healing. Secrets have a way of surfacing. No matter how deeply we try to bury them, no matter how much we pretend they don't exist, they always find a way to the light. And when they do, they can either destroy us or set us free. The real lesson here: don't wait for your truth to be exposed by someone else. Face it, own it, seek help if you need to, and never let fear stop you from healing. The journey may be painful, but pretending will only make the fall harder when the facade crumbles. And let's talk about friendship. Not everyone who stands beside you is truly with you. Some people wear masks disguising envy as support, pretending to celebrate your wins while secretly wishing for your downfall. The hardest betrayals often come from the hands we once held the closest. So choose your circle wisely. Pay attention to the energy people bring into your life. And most importantly, never let someone else's bitterness poison your happiness. Now, I want to hear from you. What did you take away from this story? Did it remind you of a personal experience? Did it open your eyes to something new? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if this story moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. There are more powerful, thought-provoking stories coming your way. Stories that will challenge your perspective, make you reflect, and inspire you to keep growing. Until next time, keep your heart open, your mind sharp, and your spirit strong.